everybody. Earl at thelogbook.com, back herding more infinite sheep. And once again, back in the early part of this century for once, dealing with news promos that I did at the local ABC affiliate, 4029. Way back when, like a quarter century ago, which, again, blows my mind. But today, I am going to share with you kind of one of my... I don't think it really counts as a secret of grabbing people's attention, but it's a thing that I think creative services should be brave enough to do more often. I had to fight for both of these spots to be the way they were, which is, I've talked before about having no footage. Well, one of these did have footage, but no interview, no sound to go with it. And so these are two cases where there was not enough of the right kind of footage, and I didn't even particularly want an announcer. I wanted it to just be this thing where the music grabbed your attention, and maybe some other sound in the mix, and that would keep you glued to the set. There were knockdown, drag-out fights over this, quite frankly, with the various layers of management above me. In hindsight, these people must have really liked me to have put up with me being as much of an obstinate ass as I was capable of being. But I feel like you should have enough trust in your creative instincts that if you have a topic that's like, let's do this with no announcer at all, you've got to watch. We'll make it sound like something that you do want to peek in from cooking dinner to see, oh, what's that on TV? Because I don't hear anyone talking. That's one way to do it. If there's just music, someone's going to... One of two things is going to happen. They are either going to completely ignore it. Oh, wow, that was nice. That was relaxing. Or tension building or whatever. Or they are going to stop what they're doing and go, what's going on in there? What's going on Channel 40? This first one was one of my favorite spots that I did the whole time I was there, and I'm pretty sure this was early 2001. And there is definitely a change in the style of the spot halfway through, because I quickly realized I was going to kill myself trying to make the whole 30 seconds the way that the first 10, 12 seconds went. See if you can spot the change. I still think that's a good spot. I still think that's one of the best news promos I ever did. Although you could tell about 10 or 12 seconds into it, the penny dropped that I am going to be here all week working on this one spot if I keep having to do another frame of graphic every time that the keys are pressed and another letter has to appear. That's another graphic. That's another separate thing that the Avid has to render. And back in those days, you have to keep in mind, this was 2001. We were working on a seriously underpowered Mac-based Avid media composer. It took forever to render out anything that had even a whiff of complexity to it. And that spot, that took some render time, because every time another letter appeared, that's a separate graphic to be rendered. We got a new PC-based system in 2003 that, by comparison, just screamed through its renders, although the advantages of that were offset by going into the lack of footage era at 4029, where suddenly everything has to be created out of whole cloth and animated from scratch. Well, guess what? That takes time to render. So you could be forgiven for thinking that nothing had really changed. The Cybercop spot, especially because you have the keyboard sound, that was my fingers just typing nonsense on a keyboard. I recorded that and timed out the spot to it for about that first 12 seconds, and then I was like, oh no, we got to have a pop-up window, or this is not getting done in time. And so I'm really happy with that one still. I think the sound mix on it, the fact that the music is not happy-go-lucky, it's like, whoa, creepy, what's this? And there's all this typing. It's like, okay, yeah, you do want to peek around the corner and see what Channel 40 is doing there. This next one, we did have High 8 footage from Ground Zero in New York City right after 9/11. This was during the rescue and recovery effort. We did not have the interview in the can yet with the person who shot that footage. And apparently it was someone from our area who got dispatched there to help with those efforts. But they did bring back this footage, and so we had the footage immediately to make a spot out of, but not the interview. And again, I thought you have to keep in mind, this would have been November Sweeps 2001, right after 9/11. I did not want to be tasked with writing words that were suitable for that occasion because I just couldn't think of any. And so I again lobbied for, let's do an all-music spot with no announcer. There was some serious pushback on that, and I think at one point a script was written, but even with the script that was written, and I didn't write it, I was just like, look, this is almost too big a story. This is out of my league. Which, that's a hell of a thing to say if you're a creative services producer. But I felt that this should go out with just the pictures, just the music, and let that speak for itself. You be the judge.
Tuesday at 10 on 4029, your hometown news.
I still stand by that as absolutely the way to go. The only announce should be the one at the end, giving you the time that you were going to be able to see this story. Because that close to those events, there really were no words. At least nothing that I could come up with from my position as a creative services writer-producer in, what was it, the number 99 market at the time. I forget if it was 99 or 109. It was 109 when I left to go to Green Bay, but I think it had crept up slightly by the time I returned from Green Bay, largely by dint of the population growth that went with Walmart headquarters consolidating its power into Walmart World Domination headquarters in Bentonville. So that population caused the market size, caused the DMA to jump in rank. But those are two examples of spots where I think you can definitely get away with no announcer. It's it's a flavor in a stew, okay? And consider the stew to be your output for the entire year. You could probably do that once or twice a year. And in fact, both of those that was 2 of them in 1 year. After that, I remember there were occasions where I was like, oh, let's do the all music thing. And it was just no. So I got this out of my system. I don't guess the management was too crazy about it. I myself thought they were quite effective, but then it's my work. I guess I would.